Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. Today I've got a week of meals to share with you, and I think I tried maybe one new recipe this week, and then everything else was just kind of thrown together, I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how I was going to put it together, and everything turned out great, even with me just throwing stuff together to make a couple of these meals. So I'm excited to share them with you. So let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night, we just did naan pizzas. This is something I do all the time. Anytime I find naan on clearance, I will buy it up and then keep it in the freezer for an easy pizza for lunch or dinner. So what I like to do is preheat my oven to 425, and then while it's preheating, I throw the naan on a sheet pan and toss it in the oven, and it can kind of warm up and start to get a little bit crispy. And then once the oven is preheated, I pull it out, throw on whatever toppings you want. I've got some pizza sauce, mozzarella cheese, and pepperonis this night, and then stick it back in the oven for about 10 minutes till it gets all melty and browned. And then to go with this, we just had a salad on the side. And then, of course, Lily doesn't like salad, so she just had some carrots and cucumbers and tomatoes. Saturday night, really all I knew was that I wanted chicken noodle soup and that I didn't want to follow my usual recipe that's made in the Instant Pot because I wanted to use these German noodles that I picked up at Aldi. So I am starting off by heating up about a tablespoon of olive oil in a large pot, and then once that was hot, I added in half of a diced onion, 2 stalks of celery diced, and 3 diced carrots, and then I cooked that up for about 5 minutes. And then I added in 1 pound of diced chicken breast, and I seasoned that with whatever you like, but I use onion salt, paprika, garlic powder, thyme, lemon pepper, and red pepper flakes. I gave that a good mix, and then I let that cook for about 5 minutes. The chicken doesn't have to be all the way cooked at this point. It's going to continue cooking in the broth. So then I added in 5 cups of water and 5 teaspoons of Knorr chicken bouillon, or you could do 5 cups of chicken broth, but I just prefer to make my own broth with the Knorr chicken bouillon. And then I also added in 1 can of cream of chicken soup. And then I mixed that together really well and covered it and let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes just to continue cooking my chicken and get my carrots and other vegetables tender. So then once they were tender, you can add in your noodles. I am using 8 ounces of the German noodles from Aldi. I saw some people doing this on Facebook, and I was like, it looks so good. They look like the perfect chicken noodle soup noodles, so that's why I use those. And then once I added in those noodles, I realized I think I wanted a cup more of broth. So I added another cup of water and another teaspoon of the Knorr chicken bouillon. And then I just let the noodles cook until they were tender, stirring it often. For me, this took about 15 minutes. And then this was done. And on the side of chicken noodle soup, we always like to have Cheez-Its. It's what we like. I know that some people do other crackers, but Cheez-Its are so good in chicken noodle soup. And this turned out delicious. I have another half a bag of those noodles, and I will definitely be making this again because it was so good. I had seen somebody, I think on TikTok, do the cream of chicken in their chicken noodle soup. I just pulled things from various recipes. I had seen the noodles all over Facebook and some of the Aldi groups, and yeah, it was a really great meal for a cold day. And I wanted to mention we had leftovers of this, and usually when you have chicken noodle soup, the noodles will get too soggy. They'll soak up the broth. Now these noodles did end up soaking up some of the broth, but they were still a very good firm texture, and I just ended up adding a little bit more broth to it, and it was delicious as leftovers. Sunday night was just one of our easy meals of the week. We just had spaghetti, ground beef, marinara sauce, spaghetti noodles, Parmesan cheese on top, and then some salad on the side for those of us that like salad. And of course, Lily just had some fresh veggies. Monday night, I made some chicken and Spanish rice bowls. So I started off by heating some olive oil in a large skillet. And then once that was hot, I cooked up 1 pound of diced chicken with some taco seasoning, some garlic powder, and some onion salt. This was one of those meals where I was just kind of winging it. I knew I wanted like a chicken burrito bowl that was like a one pot meal, but I just kind of threw stuff together. So once that was mostly done, it doesn't have to be all the way done. Again, it's going to continue cooking with our rice. I added in 2 packages of the Knorr Spanish rice, and then the amount of water that it called for on the back of the package. I think it's like 2 cups per bag, so like 4 cups. And then I also added in 1 can of drained corn, 1 can of diced green chilies, and 1 can of drained and rinsed black beans. And I chose to sprinkle in just a little bit of the Knorr chicken bouillon for some extra flavor. You could also just use all chicken broth instead of water. And I let this come to a simmer, and then I covered it and reduced the heat and let this cook for 7 to 10 minutes until the rice was done and most of that liquid was absorbed. And then all you have to do is stir in some cheese. I stirred in some quesadilla cheese and some cheddar cheese, and then once that was all mixed in and melted, it was ready to serve. You could put some lettuce on this. You could put salsa, sour cream. We ate it with some chips on the side. And then the next day for lunch, if you saw the vlog, you know, we ate it wrapped up in tortillas as burritos because this made a lot of food and it was delicious. Tuesday night was the only like true recipe I followed this week, and it's a 1-pot cheesy zucchini sausage and rice meal. So I'm starting off here by dicing up half of an onion, and then I'm also going to slice up my smoked sausage, and then in a large skillet I'm going to heat up about a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter, and then once that's hot I'm going to add in my onion and sausage and cook that up for about 5 minutes until my onion starts to get tender and my sausage gets a little bit browned. Then I added in 1 cup of white rice along with some seasoning. I did a little bit more than the recipe called for. I added in onion salt, which it didn't call for. But then I also added in some salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And then 2 1/4 cups of water and Knorr chicken bouillon, or you could just use chicken broth, of course. And then you just want to bring that to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, you want to lower the heat, put a lid on this, and let it cook for about 20 minutes. While that was cooking, I took 1 medium-sized zucchini and grated it. This is a great way to add in some veggies without anybody really knowing what it is. Elijah doesn't like zucchini, but he did not mind it in this. He didn't even know it was zucchini. He was taking big bites and he saw the green, but I guess maybe he thought it was broccoli or something, because sometimes when I cook the broccoli in with the rice, it basically turns into like little teeny tiny pieces of green in the rice and you don't even really see chunks of broccoli. So maybe he thought that's what it was, but then once he ate it I was like, it's zucchini, and he was like, what, really? So after the 20 minutes, the rice was done. Most of that liquid was absorbed. So I started by stirring in that grated zucchini, and then I put a bunch of cheese in this. I did some sharp cheddar cheese and some mozzarella. And then the recipe wanted you to pop this in the oven on 425 for about 10 minutes, and it could like get nice and bubbly on top. I did not feel like doing that. Originally I planned on doing it, that's why I did it in the skillet, but then I was like, you know what, I am ready to eat now and this looks good, so we just ate it like that. But you could definitely throw it in the oven if you wanted to. And this is like a full like balanced meal. You got meat, you got carb, you got veggie, and this was good. Like, I would eat it again. I don't know if I'll make it again. There wasn't just anything like super special about it. It was great because it was a 1-pot meal, which I really like. And I love the idea of adding like the grated zucchini in dishes, but I don't know if I'd make this specific one again because there just wasn't really anything special about it. Wednesday night I made some pork chops and twice baked potatoes. There's really nothing special about the pork chops that I made, but the twice baked potatoes, I was just craving them. Like I hadn't had them in so long or made them in a very long time. So I saw somebody make them and I was like, yep, I need to make twice baked potatoes. So I like to bake my potatoes in the air fryer. So I just spritz them with some olive oil cooking spray, stabbed them with a bunch of holes, and then sprinkled on some salt, and then put those in the air fryer for about like 45 minutes on 375. And then when they were done, I transferred them to a foil lined baking sheet and very carefully cut them in half because they were very hot. And then again, very carefully, I'm going to hold them with a paper towel to not burn myself and scoop out the insides of each individual one. And then I mashed up the potatoes with a half a stick of salted butter. And then I added in some onion salt and garlic powder and salt and pepper, a little bit of heavy cream and a bunch of sour cream. Got that all mixed together. And then I added in some shredded cheddar cheese. Again, mixed that together really well. And then I filled each of my halves of the potatoes, and then I topped it with some more shredded cheddar cheese and some bacon bits, and then popped these in the oven for about 25 minutes on 425. So here was dinner. As I said, nothing really special about the pork chops. I just put some mustard on them and then some seasonings and then baked them in the oven. And then we had some applesauce on the side as well. But these twice baked potatoes were so good. I don't know why I don't make them more often. Probably because it's a lot of steps because you have to bake them twice. That's probably really the only reason. But they were so good. And finally, the last meal of the week, I don't really know what to call. I guess I'm going with hamburger beef stew. Kind of like a beef stew, but with ground beef. We were supposed to have a dish with chicken, but somehow my freezer inventory got like mixed up, like where I have it written out. I thought we had more chicken breasts in the freezer than we did, so we didn't have any chicken, so I had to make something else. So I thought out some ground beef, and I'm starting by just browning that 1 pound of ground beef with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and the Kinder's steak seasoning. And then once that is browned, I'm going to add it to the crock pot with 2 stalks of celery that I diced, half of a diced onion, and 3 diced carrots, as well as some salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion salt, Italian seasoning, more of the Kinder steak seasoning, paprika, and a Lipton onion soup mix, 2 8-ounce cans of tomato sauce, and 4 cups of beef broth or water, and beef bouillon is what I use. And then I just stirred this together and put a lid on it and let it cook all day on low. We were gone this day, so being able to come home to this was great. It was just a nice, like kind of like beef stew, but with ground beef, so it was definitely cheaper. And when I came home, I just made some biscuits to go with this, and it was pretty good. I'd probably make it again. Again, it's not like super special, but it was good. It was a good meal, and it filled our bellies on a rainy day, because this was a very rainy day. So yeah, that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I hope that you got some new ideas of some things to try, even though I felt like I was just like kind of all over the place in the kitchen this week. Let me know down below if you plan on trying any of these recipes. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!